Hello YouTube, my name is Venator, and I hope you all are having a wonderful Saturday. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys the secret to getting a prime Deinosuchus, so I hope this video really helps those of you who have been struggling with the prime requirements. Now before we get into it, we are going to talk about a few things, because I'm sure a lot of you are wondering, Venator, why would you not include the secret to getting prime in your literal how to get prime video? And well, the answer is pretty simple. I did not know about this at the time. Any how-to or guide video that I make is simply what I know and am actively doing at the time. And after posting my how to get prime video, I was bombarded with comments like this, saying you don't need to travel as a dino and all you need is sanctuary and perfect diet. And as you all more than likely saw from Futile Summer's awesome dino video, my NA Deinosuchus does eventually meet its demise, but there is still a lot of story to tell on that guy, and I'm not quite there in the series. But that gave me the opportunity to test this in depth and to personally find out if there was any truth to these comments. So how did I test this? Well, I grew 3 different Deinosuchus in a row, all of them in Eastlake, and never left the lake. And I'm going to show you guys exactly how I do each of these 2 prime requirements on each of these grows. And on all 3 of these, I hit the sanctuary that is just outside of the lake. As you guys have heard me say several times in my last few dino videos, Eastlake has become my go-to spot for growing a dino on petite P8s, at least until you hit adult. Once you are big, food becomes very, very difficult to come by. But until that point, this area is awesome for growing for several reasons. And I think the first reason is something I get a ton of comments about, and that's fish spawns. I see so many people saying they are not seeing any fish and are starving and dying. And for whatever reason, Eastlake has very consistent schooling fish and elite fish spawns. I have found a ton of them in these 3 grows while I've been in Eastlake. The second reason is that because this area isn't really a good hunting spot for primes. Since most of the food around this area is small things, it really limits the amount of larger dinos that you are likely to run into. But if you are growing in here and you do see a larger dino, I highly recommend logging out, because the second they get hungry, you will become lunch. And remember, never trust other dinos, especially if you aren't in VC with them. Even if you're grouped with them, they could just as easily lead you to another croc that's actually their friend, and then you become lunch. So always be cautious trusting larger crocs. I know it's tempting to have a larger buddy to protect you, but betrayal is common among Deinosuchus. During these 3 grows, I had to kill several other crocs just to survive. Like I said, food here can be very scarce, but I can't tell you how many of those crocs let me just swim right up to them. The second I see a larger Deinosuchus, I immediately turn tail and run and either log out or hide until I can confirm they don't have a partner and want to group. As for hitting the sanctuary, I get a lot of questions like, how do I know when I've done it? Or how far in it do I need to even go? I've also seen people say they sit in the sanctuary until they are nearly dead from the bees, and that they still didn't get prime, hence the reason for this video. But to answer the question, all you have to do to be 100% sure that you've gotten the sanctuary task done, and if you haven't noticed from the last 2 clips, is get stung by the bees. It just has to be for a second. As soon as I'm stung, I'm turning around and leaving. And in Eastlake, this is very easy to do. The easiest path to do so is to come to the north side of the sanctuary like I do here, and you will get stung on the outskirts of it. And once you get stung, just beeline it right back to the lake as fast as you can. And if you hear something coming up behind you to try and kill you, you can hit right mouse button to do a little lunge and give you a little speed boost. Here, it was just the guy I was grouped with, but man, he nearly made me crap my pants. The next prime task you need is a perfect diet, and this one is very easy to do. You just simply have to have 1% of all 3 diets at any point before you hit 75%. So whether that's killing another dino, or catching some small prey, or scavenging, this is pretty easy to do in East Lake. And for those that don't know, a common mistake I see a ton of new players make, because they aren't ever told and there's no help starting this game, you can get a diet from schooling fish. If you let them sit in what people call bake for 7 minutes. It's known as baking the fish because typically people set them out on the bank under the sun for that 7 minutes. But you can carry them in your mouth or put them wherever on shore. So long as you let the fish sit for 7 minutes, they will give you a diet. Elite fish or Beppy drops will give you Y diet, and then B is pretty easy to get. Either kill a dino or eat a dino body drop, which are pretty common in East Lake. And another huge tip for new players, everything is on your diet. If you smell something that shows the meat stick or drumstick symbol, all you have to do is let it rot, and then it will give you diet. As you can see, on all 3 of these grows, I hit the sanctuary early and was stung by the bees, and then I got a perfect diet. So in theory, I should get prime on all 3 of these crocs. And I actually did this 4 times. I grew another solo on the EU server, but I nested on that one. So for testing purposes, on these 3, I did not do any nesting. And on Deinosuchus number 1, we hit prime. As you can see, I was sitting here waiting for it and it popped up and I got both mutations. And here we are on Deinosuchus number 2. And for those that are curious, on that first one, I drowned underwater. I crashed underwater with very little O2 and came back and my croc was dead. So I went back and immediately grew another one. And as you can see, I missed the first mutation because I was growing so quick and forgot to take it. But alas, on this one, I also hit prime. But on my albino croc, once I hit it, I did not get prime. I did everything, I thought, basically the same. There is only one difference that I did, and we're going to talk about that here in a few minutes. But as you can see, I did not get prime. So the theory that you can get prime solely from sanctuary and perfect diet is false. And so now on the screen, here are the prime requirements. On all 3 of these guys, I was never infertile, I never got muscle spasms, I visited the sanctuary as a juvie, and I achieved perfect diet on all 3 of them, like you guys saw. Now that's only 4 of the, what most people think, of the 5 required tasks. So why didn't I get prime? And what's even crazier is, on the last one, the albino, I was nested in. So that is technically 5 requirements, and I still did not get prime. The only thing that I can think of that I did any differently was on the first 2, I was swimming and sprinting up and down East Lake the entire life, using a lot of stamina. And on the 3rd, the albino dino, since I had the skin, I was playing a lot safer on that croc. I wasn't swimming recklessly up and down the channel. I was crawling on the bottom anytime I transitioned sides of East Lake. I was playing it very safe, and anytime I got a really good diet in a full stomach, I sat in one spot, hidden, growing. And so this is the only thing I did differently. And then it was confirmed by a developer that the secret requirement that had been added to the game after the Horde test was be Hipsy, Truodon, Beppy, Ryo, or Dino with X amount of stamina spent, aka sprinting. This was the key. I've seen so many people say they've done 5 of the requirements or even more and still not get prime. And this would make a lot of sense. You could do 5, 6, or 7 of the tasks and play very carefully, moving around the map stealthily and not being seen. But if you're not using stamina, then you're not making progress towards this requirement, which leads me to another point. These requirements, I believe, are weighted differently. On, who was it? Hutch's stream. He did 6 or 7 or maybe even 8 of the requirements, and he did not get Prime, but he did not hit a Sanctuary as a Juvie. So I'm under the firm belief that the 3 main things as a Dino that you have to do to get Prime every time is 1, hit a Sanctuary as a Juvie, 2, achieve the perfect diet at some point in your life, and 3, spend that unknown amount of stamina. And now, unfortunately, I don't know what that number is, but I'm hoping that some people can do some testing and figure this out. And if not, I will eventually test it myself and figure this out. But for now, while you're growing a Dino, whenever you're traveling, just make sure you are holding down that sprint key when you're, say, in the ocean and you know no one's around. Whenever you can do it, be sprinting. Get a lot of stamina used, and then you should be guaranteed to hit Prime. And for those that don't know, if you become infertile, that essentially stops your Prime progress. So if you become infertile after you've done all your necessary tasks, you will still get Prime. And as a croc, you don't have to worry about the muscle spasms. So getting Prime on your Deinosuchus should be pretty easy now that you know all of the requirements. I really hope that this solves a lot of the problems that I've seen in my comments from people not getting Prime. So I hope this really helps you guys out. And if it did, please consider hitting that subscribe button. That way you don't miss out on any Deinosuchus tips and tricks or just awesome videos. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you all next time, and happy hunting.